Camp Winnie. Frequently asked questions.
So we've been home for 12 months after we did our massive lap of Australia, and we thought that we would just have a chat about some of the things that we were asked along the way, plus once we got home, the questions that we've been getting through YouTube.
Some frequently asked questions.
Yeah, so we thought we'd do something like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been a year. Where's that time gone? 2021 was certainly more exciting than our 2022. And I can't believe it's now February 2023. And we kicked off in February 2021.
I know.
Returning in February 2022.
It's crazy. Life just blends back into normal, and one day blows into the next month, into the
rat wheel.
Next month, and then the year's gone.
I'll say it.
Anyway, yeah. So we thought that we would sit down and spend some time doing this, didn't we?
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do the lap of Australia?
I know exactly where it started, with him on the internet late at night.
It was. One late night on Gumtree, we're actually looking for an old motorhome just as a weekender.
Yeah.
We had no intentions of doing the lap around Australia at all. It just grew and morphed that way quite organically.
The funny thing was, when we found the motorhome that we wanted to restore and do up, it was just like Shannon said, just for the odd weekend away. And it was only once he started doing it, and then we started seeing that there was so many travelling families out there with their young kids doing the schooling and taking time off work to enjoy that lap. We thought, you know what? The more we kept restoring it, the more we thought, wow, we could actually do this.
Yep.
And we did.
That's quite literally how it all went. It was, we bought it in mid-2020.
Yes.
During one of the last COVID lockdowns.
No, it was one of the original. It was the original lockdown, yeah.
When prices were sky high.
Yep.
You couldn't get a motorhome, a second-hand motorhome I'm talking, for love or money.
No. And you couldn't even go and look at them either. He would find them on the internet, and you weren't allowed out, because at that stage we were all in lockdown and we weren't allowed out to travel. So we needed to wait for one of the restrictions to be lifted so that he could actually go and have a look at it to see whether it was worthwhile doing. So yeah, it was crazy times, and it does seem like a long time ago.
It does. And every motorhome you rang up about, sorry mate, it's sold. Well, couldn't possibly be. You only listed it 18 hours ago. Yeah,
but the thing was, you were looking at it late at night when I was asleep. By the time I'd wake up in the morning, he'd go to ring up about it and they were gone.
They were gone.
So we kept saying, oh, we're going to have to revisit the ones that we actually sort of swipe past. But anyway, we've got this beautiful home that we restored, and yeah, the rest is... Yeah,
history, as they say.
That's such a corny saying, the rest is history.
How did you fund your trip?
We got asked this question, I think more so once we got back.
During and got back.
Before and when we got back?
Yeah.
Or,
and it's of no surprise that most of the folk that ask that are the ones that are contemplating doing the lap.
Yes.
How do you make it happen, and how do you fund it? Well, you have to want this more than you want air.
You both have to want it.
We sold, we had beautiful cars. I had a beautiful motorcycle at the time, so we sold both our cars. I sold my motorcycle. We sold jewellery. We had the garage sale of all garage sales.
Yeah. Facebook Marketplace was fabulous. Most of the sales were really quick, and most of the things sold.
We sold everything.
Yeah.
And people shudder at that, but that's what I mean. There's going to be sacrifices. We didn't have the enjoyment of sponsorships and people throwing money at us. As a matter of fact, touring is expensive, and making these YouTube videos can be expensive.
It's expensive and time consuming, actually.
So we didn't have the enjoyment, as I said, of sponsorships or people supporting us financially.
No.
We had to sell everything we had to fund the trip. I think most people do. I think you're lucky if you can get sponsors.
Like we said a minute ago, you know, you both have to want it. You both have to be on the same page. And I think the hardest thing is making that decision. Don't you think?
Yes.
Making that decision. Like, yes, one of you might want it and might have to convince the other one. I read many a question on the different Facebook sites about how do you convince your partner that it's the right thing to do? How do you know it's the right thing to do? You both got to want it, but making that decision will be the hardest.
Yeah, it's a leap of faith. Yeah. In a word, it's ballsy. It's a ballsy move to mothball your life back in your hometown. And you'll get all sorts of reactions from friends and even members of your own family. People will react maybe differently to what you think. Oh, you're crazy. What are you doing? What are you going to do for work? What are you selling everything for?
Yeah.
What am I selling everything for? It's just stuff.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, it's stuff. Do I have any regrets about selling our nice cars and my nice motorbike? No, because all that stuff's old now. But the memories of my trip will be with me for life until my very, very last breath in my last day. And I'll never forget our 2021 lap run Australia. I'd love to do it again. But take a leaf out of our own book, our own advice. It's ballsy and it's scary.
It is.
How do you do it?
Especially once you've been back for a year and then to go back and do it. But I think because we have done it, we do want to continue on with it.
Yeah, it's great.
Do it.
Did you have any breakdowns? What did you do?
I'll answer this one. So our Winnebago, or affectionately known as Winnie, he's old. He's a 1994 Isuzu non-turbo diesel truck with 350,000 Ks on it.
Tough.
It's a tough old girl, but do not take this on if you are not mechanically minded and also willing to do DIY repairs yourself. If you're not up for it, or you don't have the ability to fix and repair things on the roadside in quite rural areas, because it will happen in the most rural area when you're on your own and when you can't get access to parts. That's where it will happen. It's like when your dog gets sick and you've got to take it to the vet. It'll always be on a Sunday night.
That's it. I was just about to say, usually on a weekend or a Sunday or a public holiday when no one's home.
Yeah, so look, if you're, and this is just being realistic.
Yeah.
If you're not mechanically minded, then probably a new or near new motorhome or RV is
Something
for you.
that's under warranty might be better suited to those.
That's
that aren't.
right.
I mean, I'm married to what I call MacGyver because he can fix things with a spoon and a screwdriver.
I can actually.
We've been parked up on the side of the road in Alice Springs, and he's had to fix up the water filter that kept getting clogged, so he had to pull all the booth apart, and he's blowing down pipes and trying to clear things out, and it's situations like that I'd look at something and go, oh geez, how on earth do I fix that? But he knows, he'll think about things, he might YouTube the odd video here or there, but he can usually...
Well, this broke down the night we brought this home from Tamworth in New South Wales. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
And you know what?
9 o'clock at night.
It was that night that I started calling him MacGyver, so right from day one.
It got a flat battery. We were in this outback town. I don't know where the hell we were. It was drizzly rain. It was 9:30 at night. Flat battery, because we pulled over to check something. I think from memory I got the awning winder, the steel rod that you wind your awning at, and I jump-started the lithium house batteries to the truck battery, and I got it started, and we got home. Otherwise we were not in the NRMA back then when we were bringing it home. There was no one around. So
it would have been an overnight camp on the side of the road exactly where we'd pulled over until it was daylight, and then we could make some calls. But we did, for our lap, make sure that we had the top NRMA cover to cover us, because they'll put you up for accommodation and whatnot if your vehicle needs to be towed, and because this is our home on wheels, for this to go in to get a repair done, it means that we have nowhere to live. So we had to take out, and we would still take it out again. There's no way I would travel the country wide without the NRMA travel.
With NRMA though, fair enough, have NRMA, pardon me, but that's of no use to you if you are so rural and you are without phone service. You must have basic mechanical knowledge to get yourself and your family out of a pickle when it comes to the crunch. I can't emphasize that anymore. If you're going to do the lap and you are not confident with mechanical repairs, do a course, know what tools you got to carry.
You can't take everything. I'd often say to Shannon, oh, have you got this or have you got that? And he's like, nah, I don't have that much space to take everything. So you just got to work out what's the most common thing you might use, or what could cover, a lot of different things. Because we had an issue where we thought we had a tank of dirty fuel, remember? Yes. And it ended up not being the fuel, but it was something to do with a fuel filter or fuel gasket or something, wasn't it? And we did have to put it into a mechanic in South Australia. And we thought, what are we going to do? We could be without our home for however long it takes to get fixed. But thankfully it was something minor, and really that's been that and a flat tyre. and our water.
Well, that's right. On
filter,
the
that was
flat
the
tyre,
only issue, really.
at least know how to change a tyre, like a truck tyre, like a heavy RV tyre. Because, again, the law of averages, it will happen when you are so rural. And look, a grey nomad may come past and be all heart and be willing, but what if they can't help you because you don't have the right tools, or it's a tough job? You could get stuck out there, so at least have some sort of ability to,
On
to
that
make
though,
a repair.
the travelling community is fantastic, and you know, if you aren't on your own out there and someone passes by, everyone's usually willing to help. I mean, we had people help us with a flat tyre, and then Shannon in turn helped someone else with a flat tyre. So, you know, the travelling community, we all feel for each other and don't want to see each other stranded. So, you know, if you are lucky enough to have someone pass by, you'll usually find that someone will pull over to make sure that you're actually okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you all cope being together in Winnie?
You want to know what this next question is? Probably a curly one.
I'm going to hand this over to Lisa initially, but I have a friend of mine that said, Shannon, I don't know how you did it. I would have got down the first turn off down the freeway with my family in my car and turned back.
And then I've had friends that say, there's no way in the world I would spend a whole year in a motorhome with my husband. No, wouldn't even do it. So I suppose kudos to us for at least doing it.
Yeah.
We're not going to lie. It's not easy. You have your ups and your downs. There's great days, and then there's bloody horrible days.
You've got to hear it warts and all, guys.
Yep. There's horrible days. You'll be not in the mood to talk or be in each other's face, or things go wrong, so it sets the mood for the day. You know, the kids might be shitty. It's that time of the month. You know, we're in a van full of girls. That happens. It wasn't easy, not all of the time. There was days when it was fabulous, and when you're seeing new places every day, it's actually unbelievable. The experiences that we all had were just unbelievable and out of this world.
So, look, the lows can be low, but the highs can be very high.
Totally.
It's like this. It's not like you're living at home. And
did we get divorced?
I think at least twice.
I would have counted more.
I think it was at least twice,
I
possibly
seriously
more.
would have. But, mate, you get to learn, mate, you get to learn about each other, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Would I do it again?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah.
We would. It's funny, you know, you get home and you think, oh, gosh, I've missed home, and having somewhere, you know, permanent to be for a bit. I don't think it was very long at all. I think the girls, whilst they settled back into school really well, and yeah, it was okay for me to go back to work. Don't say it was the same for Shannon, but several weeks back doing the normal stuff where you actually realise one day blurs into the next.
Yeah.
Makes you realise, it makes you realise, and it still hurts. Makes you realise that you know what, those good days way outweigh the bad days. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I felt, I think, out of all of us, very flat when I returned in February 2022. It was sort of back to the rat race again.
And it just is that every day blows into the next, and every day it's nearly like it's a nothing day.
Yeah.
It really
Where'd
is.
that year go, Liz?
And you're going to
like
work
this year, I mean,
to pay the bills, and why? Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
Look, a very good friend that we met on the road, another travelling family. Hey, Mel, Terry. He said to me, son, it's going to ruin your life, but in a good way. He said, I went travelling and it took me 6 months when I got home. He was a motor mechanic. So it took him 6 months to adjust back into, as people quote it to be, reality, which is the daily grind.
The norm.
Yeah. So I like that quote. It's going to ruin your life, but in a good way. And I think it has. I think it has. I mean, stuff
I don't know if you would say it's a good way, because
less to me now.
He's still flat. He was flat 12 months ago, and he's still flat.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know whether it's in a good way. Like,
you get itchy feet.
Was 1 year enough to do the lap?
We've done the lap of Australia, but there's so much more to see.
Oh, God, we've barely scratched the surface. 5% we've probably covered. We went around the outside, if you have a look at our map, with a few inland things, and we thought we drove for days, and we did, to get to these spots inland. But when you look at the map,
Yep.
Oh my God.
Look, for anyone watching this overseas, I'll insert some overlays right here about how big Australia is as a landmass. And for all Australians, like so many Australians don't realise this.
That's right.
That 45% of our landmass here in Australia has been untouched by man. 45% of our country is untouched by man. That is the size of India. So we are so huge. We are physically the size of the United States.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
If you can do one lap of Australia and say you've seen all of Australia, well, I'm sorry, but you are wrong. No. There is so much to see, and we know people that have been travelling for 15 years and have done the lap 15 times and still say they've seen 5% of Australia.
Yeah.
And that is no BS.
No, it's not.
That's how scarily big Australia is.
If you give yourself a year like we did, in all honesty, it's not enough. It's not enough for you to take your time. People do it. We did it. Yeah. People do it in 6 months. People take 3 months off to travel, and you try and get in as much as you possibly can. But honestly, you need to be able to take your time.
That's right. And as we record this, my own mum and her husband are currently caravanning to Tasmania.
Yes.
And my mum asked me, is 3 months going to be enough in Tasmania?
Or is it too much?
Or is it too much?
Yeah.
We spent, was it 5 weeks?
5 weeks we spent in Tassie.
My word of advice, Tasmania is the hidden gemstone of all the states of Australia. It really is, because it's the least spoken about.
It's the least spoken about. It's the most...
For some reason.
Laid back. It's the most dramatic change in landscape. You know, you've got cliff faces, you've got beaches, you've got hills. It's everything all in one, and it's just so pretty. And the pace is a lot better than the mainland, especially when you're traveling and you realise that the reason that you're traveling is you want to kick back and get away from the fast-paced normal life reality is, and to go down to Tassie. It's one of the best places to go.
It was.
So our answer to his mum was that 3 months, you're going to love it.
What powers Winnie when you are off-grid?
We've got all these gadgets and gizmos and thingamajigs. I better hand over to him for all the technical terms, because I'm sure you guys out there are going to know what powers this, and I wouldn't be able to tell you at all.
I suppose we ragged out a bit on caravan parks, so I should put my money where my mouth is. How do you then live off-grid? Most decent RVs today, be it a motorhome or a caravan, do run some sort of off-grid system, as in solar panel and batteries, of varying degrees. There's some basic setups. There's most elaborate setups that'll cost you 12 grand and can run your air conditioner. So where are we? The low to middle range of capabilities of off-grid.
But we've got it all.
We've got everything. We've got, I've got a little list here. We've got 235 amp hour lithium batteries.
See, the thingamajigs.
We've got an Enerdrive DC to DC charger. Now what that does is the truck alternator, when we're driving, it charges your batteries. When you shut the truck off and now you're camping, the Enerdrive brain says, all right, we've got to get power from the solar panels. So whether you're moving or whether you're parked up, the DC to DC charger selects where it's going to charge your lithiums from.
Clever, isn't it?
Yeah, and then lastly, the third way is hooked into 240 power. Whether you're at a showground with power or a caravan park, run your generator if you must. We've got a CTEC 240 volt charger, and you can charge the lithiums off that. And you've got to have that capability, because it's all right having solar panels, but what if it rains? And this did happen to us. What if it rains and it's cloudy weather for a week and you're trapped in your van, cooking, watching TV, a lot of lighting?
We could probably upgrade our solar panels, because I believe the new ones that you buy today
more efficient.
Are more efficient, and even on a cloudy day it still charges all your equipment in your vans. But ours are a little on the older scale, but hey, they do the job.
Yeah.
And once we worked out how to best utilise all our equipment and how to best charge our equipment in what scenarios, we were a lot better off, weren't we?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We've got a 700 watt inverter, and that's by Red Arc. Red Arc's an Australian company. I highly recommend Red Arc. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, 700 watt, that's not much. Well, we don't charge much. We charge a laptop computer that I do all my editing on at night.
We actually charge that when we're in transit, so that it...
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Tells
a
them
lot
flatten your
better.
batteries.
Yeah,
We charge the handheld CB radio.
a vacuum cleaner,
Hair clippers, yeah, a little mini vacuum cleaner, and that is literally it.
pretty much.
We don't run, you don't run hair dryers or anything like that,
No.
because you need whopping 2,000 watt plus
Yeah.
inverters to run them, but then you've got to have the batteries to feed it.
The girls and I used a hair straightener in the van when, was it? I can't remember whether it was we were camping or whether we were plugged into 240, but generally speaking, we just used our straightener when we're in a caravan park.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yep.
like Shannon said, we don't need to charge a great deal.
Not really.
No.
No, everything's 12 volt, recharging phones and, you know, GoPros.
Pretty clever.
Now, the generator. I get asked all the time, what generator you run? You can only buy a Honda 2200. If you want a compact generator that you're going to use to run your aircon, Honda have a deal, and we got ours from the generator shop at Melbourne, I think.
Well, they had a deal at the time when
Yep.
we got it.
Well,
And
well,
just to say, we are not sponsored or getting any
No,
kickback
no
from
endorsements.
Honda by saying that.
No, but it was $2,000. But the Honda guarantee is the 2200 Honda generator
Run any.
guaranteed to run any RV air conditioner or your money back. Now we are the big test, because ours is an old 1994 underbunk air conditioner, and it's a big old thumper.
I'm sure the more
thing's
modern
huge.
ones are a lot more efficient to
Of
run.
course,
Yeah.
of course. Today's one's a little bit more efficient. So if it can run ours, I was sceptical. I thought, right, well, that's their guarantee.
It hasn't failed us yet.
And it does run it, and if you have it running for any length of time, it actually gets quite cold in here on
Yeah,
the
it does.
generator
Oh, yeah.
in a campground.
It's pretty cool.
And they're quiet. They're efficient on fuel, and Honda generators boast they are the quietest generators on
Yeah.
the market with the most clean power. They deliver real clean power. So look into it, guys. We ran a 2200 Honda generator. That's probably still their guaranteed to run any RV air conditioner on the market or your money back. And I can vouch that it runs ours totally fine.
It does.
You can't run a microwave and boil the kettle and run your aircon all simultaneously, but you don't. You just shut the air off for a minute, boil the jug, turn it back on, no problem.
One of our most recent camp spots we went to when we were in the snowies, Shannon was out on the horse and I pulled the cord on the generator and fired up the sandwich maker, and the kids got toasted sandwiches that day for lunch. So
In the bush.
they thought it was pretty cool. We're in the bush and here I am. Apart from the fact that it's easy for me to pull and start, yeah, it was a no-brainer. It was so easy and I was so proud of myself. I sort of did these ones outside in the campground. So I'm like, yay, I could do it myself.
Did well. Now,
Water.
the hot water system. I have to give this mob a plug. Most RVs, be it caravans or motorhomes, run an American hot water boiler system, a brand called Suburban. And they're a little 18 litre or 22 litre tank, which takes 20 minutes to boil, and you get a quick 4-minute shower out of it. We actually went the Truma instantaneous hot water system. Truma's a European brand. Look, it was $2,000. That's more money than I'd pay for my home hot water system. However, if you can hook
Unreal.
water up to it from your water source, in our case tanks, or whether you're near a river or something, or in your caravan park, and as long as you've got gas, that thing is instantaneous. We can pull over on the side of the road and within 30 seconds switch it on.
Yeah, you turn
and
it on and within
you've
30
got hot water.
seconds, yeah, it's hot. It's unreal.
And it's instantaneous. And also doesn't run out. So it's two whammies there, instantaneous and will not run out. As long as you can feed water through it and gas, you could have forever showers.
Yeah.
No problem.
But when we got the motorhome and it had the Suburban in it, it still worked and it had been in it, its whole life?
You had to go and light it with a barbecue lighter.
It was really old, but we just didn't want, even though it worked, we just didn't want to be stranded out there halfway round our trip without hot water and then having to organise one, get it delivered. So yeah, we just decided to replace it. People were sceptical actually, if you recall, at the time, but I would recommend it to anyone that's changing over their hot water system or doing upgrades, for sure.
Go the Truma, guys. I know they're $2,000. Bite the bullet. Go the Truma, because even Suburban's making an instantaneous hot water system now. They're a bit hit and miss. You get irregularities in the hot water. Hot, cold, chilly, hot, scald, boil a lobster, freezing cold. It goes like this, a lot of them, if you don't have good water control. This thing, it's just like at home.
Yeah,
it's just
tops.
such a constant flow of temperature.
Yeah, never failed us at all.
Yeah.
I know we're going off a list for the equipment because it's so detailed, but there's something that you haven't put on there, and that's been one of our upgrades, and that's the air compressor. You didn't mention that.
Yes. Look, this may only apply to some of you out there, but our motorhome runs, get this, 90 plus PSI in the tyres. So we had to find truck stops where they had such compressors. Because normally a car tyre, right, for example, a car tyre goes to 44 PSI, maximum inflation. These new off-road tyres actually are 100 and there's something extraordinary like 106 PSI.
Yeah.
You would not get a common service station that would run compressors that high.
We went to some service stations and we
couldn't
had to
pump your
drive
tyres
in
up.
and then drive straight back out. So yeah, it was a bit of a pain in the backside. So
Yeah.
Shannon decided to put our own compressor on board, and now that's going to help us when we go off-road. Not to say that we're going to go, you know, bush or really off-road, but it's going to help us when we're on unsealed roads.
Don't know about that.
Maybe on our next trip.
Yeah. So look, it's what we did, an ARB compressor. It's got twin engines and a reservoir tank. It's the best on the market. It was $1,000 for a compressor.
Did I know that?
Actually, yeah.
Did I know that?
She does now.
I do now.
By the time I installed it, with all extended braided steel lines and all that for the reservoir tank and made a drawer for it and all that, it was probably over $1,000. However, we can let down our tyres and do deflation and inflation on our tyres as remotely as you want to go. No stress, you're not going to be stranded with a flat.
It's going to be a lot better, more comfort on those corrugations, and yeah, just the fact that we know that, you know, if we get a leak or anything like that, that we're able to fix it up ourselves.
And we can deflate on corrugated roads. I said to the guy at the four-wheel drive shop, he said, "What pressures you running?" I said, "Oh, 85." And he went, 85 PSI? That's as hard as a rhinoceros's forehead. He said, "That's why you're getting shaken to hell in the truck. You've got to."
I wonder why rhinoceroses.
I don't know. That's just what he said. And I thought, right, I've got to deflate them to probably half pressures, and you know, it's going to be a lot better for us, and not shake the fillings out of our mouths.
What camera gear do you use to make your videos?
Yeah. Would you believe a
mixture.
Fairly primitive setup, really, compared to a lot of people. We have an old GoPro 5 that we use for 3/4 of our trip around Australia.
Yeah, we upgraded halfway around.
Yep. In Cairns, in Queensland, we upgraded to a GoPro 10.
Yep.
And we have a base model Mavic Mini drone.
We've had
3 of them.
Yep. That's what I was going to say.
I'm
times
sure Lisa
3.
will fill you in about that one. Look, it's just a basic entry-level drone, no collision avoidance systems in it. It hasn't got a follow me feature. It's totally flown on my own. Look, growing up as a kid, I never knew how to drive a remote control car. So when I got this drone before we left on our trip, I was self-taught. I just went down in a secluded showground at the back of our town down here, taught myself how to fly it. It's not rocket science. Just do a bit of practice, learn how to film things.
You know, he's lost 3, and we joke about it.
Yeah.
Pay out on him.
They crash or they drown.
He's taken, you know, you might push it to the limit sometimes, but that's what's given us the great footage. And we have had a lot of feedback of people saying the drone footage is spectacular, and that's just through Shannon doing practice and getting good at it. And well, what else have you got to do when you're out here?
Well, you've got to use stuff.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
can't just buy it and stick it in your cupboard in your caravan. You've got to crack it out and use it and make memories with these things. Yeah, are they risks? Look, drones are very risky to fly. You're going to crash them. They're going to fall out of the sky.
And I admit I don't fly it because I'm scared of losing it or crashing it, and I don't want to be that person. But he's much better at it.
Get it insured, guys. Always insure your drone. Full stop.
Yes.
Insure your drone. I think it's our $1,000 drone, $79 a year to insure.
That's right.
It's totally
and
worth
so
it.
first time round, just to let you know, we just bought the drone and we didn't buy the insurance. So it was all over Red Rover when I went out to sea one day. So from second drone onwards, we've made sure we paid that $79. And I have to admit, DJI are a fantastic company to deal with. Their customer service, I think, within Australia.
They're very good.
Very good, very easy to contact. They had a replacement drone to us within 5 days. couldn't complain about that. The service was actually unreal. There was no questions asked. Yeah, sure, we had to return the drone.
You did, the smash drone.
So we had to return the faulty drone, but they send you a reply paid label. You don't have to pay anything. Just send it to them. You get given a tracking number right from the get-go. We were surprised at within days. Admittedly, it needed to be sent to an address in Victoria, and we were in Victoria. So they had it the next day or two, and as soon as they received it, they sent the new one out. So we had it. The return time from sending it to receiving the next one back was 5 days. That's unbelievable. Now we've had to do it a second time. Same thing. GoPro, on the other hand,
oh boy,
I've got to admit, GoPro, when they're working, are a fantastic camera, but anyone that uses one out there, you'll know that every single GoPro...
Is this one working? I think it is,
Go for it, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, now they're up to 11. Every single GoPro has an issue. Most of them are overheating, won't turn on.
They've got hardware issues,
freezes. And as a company, I've got to say...
Yeah, sorry GoPro, both thumbs down.
When they work, unbelievable action camera.
Yeah.
The quality, the audio, the accessories, fantastic. But when you get a damaged one, when you get one that doesn't work... not so good. Sorry, I don't have anything better to say. I would seriously consider a DJI action camera next when we need to update or upgrade. But look, for the most part, we're going to continue using GoPro because that's what we have. Like Shannon says, our equipment's pretty basic.
Yeah.
We even use our phones.
That's right.
Not Shannon's phone because it's the GPS phone. But my phone, our iPhones, Jess's iPhone, we use that from time to time just to capture something if we don't have the GoPro handy.
And just Jessica's laptop. Jessica's school laptop with basic iMovie. I don't even have Final Cut Pro.
It was a MacBook Air with not a lot of grunt. Basically just using it for schooling, and that's when he decided to ramp up the videos. That's all we had. Couldn't afford really to purchase a new one. He's only since upgraded within the last month to a MacBook Pro, a more powerful laptop. But for everything you've seen up until last probably 2 movies ago, was done on the MacBook Air. So, you know,
in this very motorhome at this very table.
Yeah. So the next thing he wants to do now, he's upgraded the laptop, is to get Final Cut Pro, because I believe a lot of you out there that are probably making videos on Apple products use Final Cut Pro. Yeah. That's something else he can learn to do. But I believe that's the goods. Yeah. But yeah, pretty basic equipment. Yeah. Does what we need it to do, and we're happy with. And honestly, the feedback that we've been getting from a lot of people, especially recently, has been, they're happy with the quality of the stuff that we're putting out. So
I guess it's important to remember, try not to be James Cameron straight out of the bag.
You'd like his money.
And like his talent.
Yeah.
Not a lot of us, look, no one has that sort of eye for detail. This is something that can't be taught. Imagination can't be taught to someone.
You're either creative or you're not. And he's the creative one, and I'm not.
Well, it's practice. You know, you get the cameras out, turn them on, use your phones, use an old GoPro, use a drone, put everything into a big folder on your computer, and just start cutting and editing it and finding the right music that sort of suits that scene, and don't make them too long. And I look back at our first movies, like our first week on the road. There's no way, Jose, I would cut a movie like that today, and that's a critique on myself. But it is a thing that you can see yourself slowly but surely improving as you make movies. And look, it's a hobby. Don't treat it as a chore. Don't beat yourself to death over it that they're not going to look something like Steven Spielberg created.
Although, don't beat yourself to death. You should hear him when he thinks he's lost footage. Oh my God. We have to, down tools, drop what we're doing. That could be while we're driving or anything, and we have to get that footage.
Your heart will be broken. You'll lose footage, you'll get corrupt files, you'll have hard drives crash, you'll crash drones, GoPros will lock up and freeze.
So that is one thing that he does do, is after a drone session, he always downloads that footage straight away.
Yeah, so you don't lose it.
So you don't lose it, and in case the card gets corrupted. Usually with the GoPro and our phone footage, it's at the end of every day. honestly, it's usually at the end of every day that we do filming. Sometimes it might be every couple of days, but generally speaking, you want to free up your card, you want to reformat it if you need to, and yeah, for the most part, we try and download everything each day, just so it doesn't get too much, because then you've got, you know, oodles and oodles of files, and then the time it takes to transfer is quite a while. So just to make it a bit easier on yourself, you've been doing it each day when you do filming, don't you?
Yep. Well, you have to. They're extremely time consuming. We never made a cent of our videos. We've had all those dramas we spoke about with crashing hard drives and that. So, question, why would we do it? Because I loved it. I actually did love it. It was a hobby, still is. And some people
talent. He's good at it.
Play darts, some people play chess, some people love surfing, some people love cross-country mountain bike riding. Look, whatever you love, knock yourself out and be the best you can at it.
On that,
I just love making movies.
We didn't earn anything from them. It's 100% correct.
Yeah.
We have actually reached recently a small milestone, and I say a small milestone for what YouTube is all about, but you can actually click on the thanks button on any of our videos now, and it's a little donation towards, you know, we could buy ourselves a can of Coke, or
you
Bonnie.
might buy us a packet of noodles.
We could buy Bonnie some litter or some food.
Yeah.
It's just something new that we've added into our videos now. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how much you like our videos, and if you want more. But you might notice that little feature that's on across all our videos now.
How much of your trip was planned?
The first thing that we planned was which direction we were going to go. We decided we wanted to go clockwise just because of the time of year that we were leaving. However, other than that, and the fact that we had 12 months to do it, we didn't plan. We didn't plan how long we were going to stay in each spot. We just kind of worked that out as we went. I had read, and I'm pretty sure it was before we left, that there was this couple, I think they were friends, two girlfriends. They travelled together, and one of the friends planned every single night where they were going to stay, whether they're going to stay here for one night, 2 nights, a week, but planned every single stop for the whole trip.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that would have been a lot of work, you don't know what it's like until you get out there. That friend came back and said it was too organised, it was too regimented, and they missed out on seeing so much.
Inflexible.
Yeah. If you've got bookings, then you have to be there by a certain time, because as most of us know, to book something you need to pay either a deposit or full fare. And getting refunds isn't as easy as we think it is. Some refund and some don't, so it's just easier not to make those plans. However, a lot of people would say that there's certain locations, if you don't want to miss out on them, that you have to book. So we did find that some of the places we went to wasn't as flexible. You know, we might have wanted to stay somewhere for up to a week and we could get one night. So things, you know, like the major highlights, you might want to think you want to plan ahead, but for the most part we didn't. Were we ever stranded without somewhere to stay? Absolutely not.
We're small. We did book Spirit of Tasmania.
Yes, actually.
That's about the only thing, because of its demand, and it's still like that.
Yes, it is.
Oh, by the way, if I can have my 2 cents worth, stay out of caravan parks. you stay out of them. You won't meet people. Free campgrounds and showgrounds and national parks. That's where it's all happening, guys. I say it all the time. You pay a fortune for caravan parks.
And it's not even for 24 hours.
No.
If you're staying overnight, that is. Like, you'll get there, you're not allowed in. Some sites, now it used to be cabins, you could only get in from 2 o'clock, but some caravan sites now, you can't get in until the afternoon. It's crazy. And then you've got to be out by 10.
They sardine can you in there, and then they hand you 3 sheets of A4 paper of all the rules that you can and can't do. They're a bit stifling. Look, don't get me wrong, there's some great caravan parks out there, really good caravan parks.
You'll find that the caravan parks in some of the most idyllic locations is where it's at. You know, the campsites might be a bit out of town, yet the caravan park's right on that water right there. And, you know, if you don't want to have to move for a few days, then, you know, you have to suck it up and pay for it. You know, they have their place.
And
they have their place.
Don't frown on camping behind RSL clubs or bowling clubs, the local community hall, showgrounds.
We've done it all.
Look up at Wiki Camps. You can find these campgrounds. There's a vibe, and those of you who have done it or are about to do it, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, you will.
There's a vibe with free camping in national parks or
Everyone's
state
friendly.
forests.
People are friendly in camp spots and
Totally.
campgrounds as opposed to caravan parks. It's like, you know, in a caravan park, you've got your plot
And you've
that's it.
paid big money for it.
Paid big money for it, and yeah, I don't know. They're just not as friendly.
Yeah.
Hopefully people don't say that about us when we're in caravan parks.
How could they?
Because we have stayed in some caravan
yeah.
parks. We've needed to. We've needed to
Yes.
either do washing, we've needed to wash our hair.
Yeah, true.
You know, it's had its place.
And the kids sometimes like the pools and the slippery slides and the jumping castles.
I was going to say that when we were about to head into Kakadu, actually, we were looking for a free camp spot, and there was one, but it was that hot. I'm talking, it must have been like 35, 40 degrees.
Yeah.
It was hot, and it was really, really
yep.
humid. And there was a caravan park just before we entered in. Well, we rang and they had availability, or we just lobbed up. I can't remember. Did we just lob up to that one?
I can't remember.
I think we just lobbed up, and they had a pool. Well, we didn't care whether we were...
It was massive.
Yeah, we weren't going to worry about whether we had a powered side or not because they had a pool, but in the end we went the powered side. I think he even gave it to us for the same price or $5 more.
And we just ran our aircon. Winnie has got aircon, by the way.
Yep.
In the house, I mean.
Ran the aircon and swam in the pool, and it's sometimes those locations when there's no water,
They're worth every dollar.
they are worth every dollar. And you know, it may not be the big bells and whistles of the big parks that are out there, but mate, there's that mate again. When you're boiling hot and you want somewhere to swim, my goodness, you'll do anything. Seriously, you will. So yeah, what was the question?
I
might have needed my glasses.
How much of your trip was planned?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So we planned ahead. I could probably do it on one hand. Yes, 6 months through our trip, we booked the Spirit of Tasmania for the end of our trip. We booked some accommodation in a campground at Lucky Bay over in Esperance. You'll find that the national parks in WA is they get booked out, and
That was during COVID, though. High demand.
I don't think it was COVID though. I really think it's just how it is over there, because everybody wants to go to Ningaloo Reef, everyone wants to go to Esperance, Broome. That's just rattling off a few where you actually needed to book ahead. Otherwise, you're not going to get somewhere, and you don't want to miss out on those locations. So some of it we had to plan like that. Other than that, we just...
But if one was to meticulously plan every night, you'll actually ruin your holiday.
You will.
Because you strip the sense of adventure out of it. You won't meet people. And if you do meet great people that you really gel with, and there was plenty, you think, you know what, let's stay here for another few nights.
Which we did do.
Because they're staying. But they're going the opposite direction, so we'll never see them again. But we really love their company, and they're having a big campfire tonight, and we've got no place to be because nothing was planned.
No, that's right.
So don't rob yourself of that sense of adventure, which is, let's face it, why you're doing the lap in the first place.
Or if you are that person that likes to be organised, book something, but allow more time than what you think to get there, because then if you do like something along the way, you can stay. Or if you get there and it's quick, well then, if you know that you're travelling through quicker than you'd planned, then there's camp spots everywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, there really, really is. So I would, if you're a planner and you really want to have things booked to secure it in, just think, if you think it's going to take me a week to get there, book it in 2 weeks' time.
We did get stuck once, and we were in Proserpine up at the Whitsundays in Queensland. And we, of all places, on Wikicamps, were meant to be camping behind this church. We rocked up, it was full house. Motorhomes, caravans.
But we got there at night, so, you know, what do we expect?
We were a late comer.
We didn't expect pole position getting there at that night, but we were hoping for a spot, and there were none.
So you know what we did? We just drove out of the church grounds, and we went 3 or 4 streets down into the suburbs, and just pulled up at the front of someone's house in a wide street, like in a main street.
I mean, we didn't set up the TV antenna or our
had the barbecues
grey water hose or anything like that. It was
you know what we
asleep.
did? It was a stealth camp.
Yeah.
We pulled up, shut all the curtains, quietly crept in and made a little discreet meal.
Yeah.
I think we might have had the news on with our antenna down. It still got to the reception.
Yeah.
And just discreetly crashed out for the night.
And we pulled up in dark time, so it was night time, and we were gone first thing in the morning before anyone would get up. So, and then we went back to that church spot and got a spot for the next couple of nights.
That's right.
Where do the girls sit in transit?
We get asked this all the time.
We do.
Because, look, it's obvious. Caravanning and four-wheel driving is 70% of the RV market, with motorhoming and rooftops and the whiz-bang slide vans being about 30%.
So everybody travels in the car.
Yeah, that's right. So when we do windscreen photography, so when we've got the GoPro mounted to the windscreen and it's filming us in the cab, usually it's just me driving and Lisa in the passenger seat, sometimes Jess, sometimes Chloe.
It depends who wants the aircon, like he says. If it's getting hot back here, then one of them will jump through and...
So that's why we get asked, where do the girls sit?
Yeah.
Well, right here.
Yep.
This is the diner booth, and it's got...
I don't know if you can see, but...
it's got 3 seat belts.
Seat belts.
So one can sit going backwards, and two passengers can sit on the normal forward. So this truck, or this motorhome, is licensed to seat 6 people. So 3 in the truck cab and 3 in the diner booth. And it can sleep 6 people. So seat 6, sleep 6.
Yes.
So for an 18-foot van, it's pretty
awesome.
remarkable. Yeah.
It's awesome.
And actually this diner booth folds down to make the double bed, which is the extra 2 people.
Yes, so we've got 2 up there, 2 where we're seated when it comes down to a bed, and the 2 bunks.
This was mainly used as Chloe and I little theatre nights we had, and sort of having movie nights.
Reruns of old movies.
We did.
Other than that, we just wanted a table that we didn't have to put up and down every single time we went to have a meal. So, yeah, mainly it was used as their travel seats and our table. But, yeah, it has the potential to drop down and sleep too, or have movie nights.
And it's handy because in transit, you've got the, they can lean over and take drinks out of the esky fridge here that's in the hallway. You can pull over very quick on the side of the road. They can use the bathroom and not have to get out of the car and go to the caravan. It's so handy.
Yeah, they have their books, their iPads, colouring in.
They can charge their iPads.
Things. Yeah.
They can have a sleep.
And they do.
Yeah. So that's where they sit in transit, and that's where they sat around the whole country.
That's it.
How did you homeschool the kids?
I'll definitely let Lisa answer this one.
Me! I was numero uno. We decided to homeschool. I've mentioned in a previous video that we ummed and ahed over homeschooling versus distance ed versus unschooling. And for us, it was homeschooling. Everyone's situation's totally different, and everyone we met on the road, that would be one of the first questions we would get asked because we had kids. And for us, we just found that the options were best suited for us for homeschooling. And so I was their teacher, and we did it on average 3 days a week. We did it for a couple of hours each day, and it didn't matter whether it was a Monday or a Sunday. We just sat down and did it, usually before we set off. So this guy here doesn't move early in the morning. He likes his coffee and then second coffee.
2 coffees.
So what we did was he'd be resting up, having his coffees. So on average, we did it 3 days a week. It didn't matter whether it was a Monday or a Sunday. It didn't matter whether it was morning or afternoon or even night time. We did the odd night school just because you try and fit it in with your busy travelling schedule.
And you taught year 8?
Yes.
In second class.
I taught year 8 and year 2 and both had their challenges, I won't lie. The year 2, Chloe, she was a lot easier to do help her with her work, obviously, but her motivation, it wasn't great. She just wanted to get out there and play with the kids. Kids her age were everywhere when we travelled. Yeah. As for Jess doing year 8, she's highly motivated and she was a lot easier to get done, but man, high school mathematics, I struggled.
Yeah, it was hard, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So I had to hand over different subjects to Shannon that he is better at, and we had to Google or we'd contact back home for some assistance from my sister. Yeah, but we got there, and so homeschooling worked for us.
It's all doable, and people are out there doing it.
Yeah.
More than what I thought.
And I will add that once we got back, they settled back into normal school life very easily, very good. They weren't behind in any way, and both girls have really excelled the last 12 months at school, so it hasn't harmed them in any way whatsoever. So I get a pass as a teacher, so
totally.
That's a bit of a bonus. But yeah, the kids, I think they actually enjoyed having me as their teacher. Sometimes it was a bit, oh no, we've got mum and I'm over mum because she just went mad on me for not cleaning the toilet, or whatever, whatever the chore was of that day. But
what a unique learning environment, because look, certainly there are Australian history and Australian geography they were immersed in it, boots and all, every day.
Yeah, that's right. They watch the news now and they'll see, you know, if there was shark attacks, a bad example, but if there was shark attacks somewhere, or what the weather is doing in certain cities and towns across the country, actually, not just the state. And they actually know where things are now. So the geography is fantastic for our country. Much better than what it was before we left. So yeah, I've got thumbs up for homeschooling on the road.
And I've said this since we've returned. I saw 3 years growth in both those girls in the 1 year we were on the road, and their respective school principals, both lady principals for the primary school and high school. This will surprise you. They were very encouraging of us de-enrolling from the school and going on our 1 year lap around Australia.
They were supportive. They were supportive and positive in everything that they said.
Absolutely they were.
Which made it a lot easier for us.
Yeah, they were very encouraging. And said they'll learn a lot on the road, and they stopped short of saying they'll learn more out there in 1 year than in the classrooms, but they alluded to that.
Yeah, and we met teachers on the road who actually said that, so
yeah,
they probably filled in the blanks from the ones that probably
their words,
didn't
not
want to
ours.
say it. Yeah.
What are the pros of doing the lap around Australia?
Well, you'll see how fantastic our country really is. Despite there being unrest in Australia these days with, you know, as a result of the years of COVID lockdowns and, you know, people's political differences, when you get out there amongst it, like the real depths of Australia, you will absolutely see how lucky we are to live in this wonderful country, and how fortunate we are to call it home.
Yeah, it's just beautiful.
Anybody that says, oh, it's a small world, is yet to travel Australia. It's just enormous. And there's so much to see and do. So
you love it.
You have no excuse now. You've watched our movie and get out there and get amongst it, have a crack.
And you don't have to get up to an alarm every day. That's got to be a pro, for sure.
I'm warning you, it will ruin your life. It will. It did mine.
What are the cons of doing the lap around Australia?
I'd have to say no privacy. I think the kids would agree on that as well. No privacy. What else?
Cabin fever. It's a very real thing. It's been proven.
It is needing your own time. Time out. You must have your own time. So if you can't get it, that's a con. Con? Is that what we're calling it?
That's a con. Yep. No privacy and no. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Eating and drinking. Let's just say the scales tipped a little on the heavier side for most of us in this motorhome. In fact, all of us bar Chloe.
But when
and that includes Bonnie, the cat, as well.
She put on weight.
So eating and drinking, you know, there's people out there, good luck to them, good on them, that exercise every day or every second day as part of their routine. And I'd have to say that that's the path I would like to take if we were to travel again, because eating and drinking, you just can't help it. It's part of the lifestyle.
It is.
Yeah,
and everyone else is doing it, so you're in, boots and all.
Yep.
You know?
You want to be social?
Yeah.
Most days we're social.
The cabin fever part and not having your own time out. But I hate fishing. There you go, guys. I said it. I'm just not a fisherman.
Or a golfer. I mean, he could have golfed along the Nullarbor, but he chose not to, and that's the longest golf course in the world, I believe.
So what do you do except, you know, grab a can of Jack Daniels and Coke? I mean, my hand was forced, guys. You understand, right?
I mean, you could have just grabbed a book, gone for a walk.
Grab a book. Or edit movies. And they're not that hard, honestly. Everyone, or most people that travel are kicking off a YouTube channel. So
if he can learn how to use an Apple computer, then
I did. Had to.
Anyone can.
Yeah. Eating and drinking and partying all the time. Did you say that was a con though? Shouldn't that be in the pros?
Well, it is in the first 3 months. You think it's great, then it all catches up with you. Unless you're out there
it's
hitting
in
the pavement.
forever list.
Yeah.
Not just 3 months.
Too much sitting down.
Yeah.
You know, you need to get out. You need to move.
We did a lot of hiking though.
Yeah, we did, but it's not regular. So for me, it's a con because as much as I love to eat and drink, you're not exercising as much as you normally would if you were home or you were doing a, you know, organised sport or just even getting out doing a run each day. But yeah, it's hard. It's you know, is it a con? Is it a pro? Because enjoy it at the time. But it is part of travelling. It is part of the lifestyle, isn't it?
I noticed your cons list was far shorter than the pros list.
Well, that's got to be a good thing then. That's why we recommend you do it.
That's right. See you guys.